Hello, and thank you for joining us for our third show from the Wolfeboro Exchange. Today I have Jody Perrson here with me. Jody, welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Jody, you were just you recently elected to the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Yep.
Position that I know and pretty fond and had some time in. So let's start off by talking a little bit about you. You grew up here. You've been here for a while in Wolfeboro. I've known you since
going 19,
20 years.
Yeah, 19 years now.
Yeah.
My wife and I and my son moved up here. I was working at Back Bay Marina.
Yeah.
And I lived down in Barrington. And we decided to sell our home down there and move up to Wolfeboro. My wife and I took over the marina for quite a few years, running, and we did the rental business, boat repairs and stuff. And
that was the old Narramore building.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Where the insurance.
The NFP insurance is there.
So I'm a bass fisherman. So one of the reasons was they were a bass boat dealer. So
yeah.
I came up. Charlie Moore was affiliated with them, and just I'm a bass fisherman, so I thought it was a good fit to come up and work on bass boats. But anyways,
so that's when you started Top Gear. Is that what
that was Back Bay Boat and Sled? It was called.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was quite a few years we did that. John Narramore unfortunately passed away, so it changed a bunch of dynamics. And then down the road, my son and I, we ended up opening up a repair shop on Bay Street again. Dougie Glidden's old shop.
Yeah. So, I know some of your passions: fishing,
yeah,
restoring old cars. You like doing that, or race car type things, ice racing, right? Riding bikes on the ice.
Yeah, we ride bikes. You'll see us out occasionally.
Recently, but now you're a grandfather. So
so I got a 3-year-old granddaughter.
And now town government. So
yeah. So now I got my feet wet in the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
And you just had your first, was it your first? Was that your first?
Yeah, that
April
was the
1st?
first meeting. And in some sick way, I enjoy it. I think I'm going to really enjoy it and will be a good fit. We'll see how these 3 years go.
Yeah, clearly you've been out there in the public for the last couple of elections, and you regularly attend meetings. So I I think unfortunately for a lot of people like to chatter online, but they don't actually go to the meetings. They don't actually hear what's going on. You have spent the last 6-7 years I can remember coming to meetings, being involved, and now you're on the zoning board, which I think is fantastic. That someone who wanted to be involved, put the effort and time in, is now there. And that board needs diverse voices because zoning's tough.
Yeah, the whole planning department and everything to do with the zoning, it's basically the roots of Wolfeboro, of what Wolfeboro is and what Wolfeboro will become in the future. Right?
That is and that's where the rubber meets the mat. Like, it's what the values of the past versus where people want it to go potentially, and I guess the balance of those things. And that's where a zoning board of, I would say, in this sense, diverse personalities and diverse experience really, I think, can come together and mesh, and hopefully, able to move applicants through the process in a positive way that reinforces, I guess, the values of what the town's looking for right now.
Basically, doing what's right and going by what's in the ordinances, going by the rules.
So I wanted to show a couple clips from the April 1st Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting, and just to stage what the viewers are watching. This was an applicant on behalf of the Irving gas station in town
Yep.
that came in for, it was a variance, right? Was that a special exception?
No, that was a variance.
So,
Yep.
so that was a variance to, they would like to replace the existing sign,
Yep.
the lighted sign, with a new sign with downward lighting that has
LED readout for the gas
Yeah.
prices. So yeah, that's what
So
it was.
this video was about, this hearing was about an hour in total. So we're going to hit 4 clips, and then I'm going to ask Jody to kind of go into his thoughts on his opinion on where the board kind of came from and where they eventually got to. So let's watch clip number 1.
I could be wrong with this, but I believe you're grandfathered for an internally lit sign right now. That's what it sounds like.
Yep.
So I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I believe you could actually do the digital lights without applying for anything. So you're actually changing. You're going to get rid of the complete internally lit sign. You're going to go externally lit to code, and then have the lights down below. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I guess what I'm getting at is you're already, from my point of view, the signs run down. I think it would, I think it's moving in the right direction to go with this newer design, but
Yeah.
you're already grandfathered for internally, so I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. If we're allowed to keep the internal lighting and do the pricers, I mean, you guys just made my day here, but the reason why I went without it is because it seemed like 7-Eleven up the street, they were only allowed pricers and no internal illumination. So I figured
Chuck?
that was, just
Did you
going with
have
what's
a-
in town type
Did
of
you
thing.
have a point?
There seems to be some confusion about lights. The LED has to be turned on. It has to be lit in order to make
See it
a
at all.
number. To make a number. Otherwise, it shows as a whole series of 8s. So you can't backlight an LED that's not lit.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that. That was what I was trying to find out.
That's what I thought. So-
Thanks.
All your thoughts on, for me too, it's funny, in 9 years in town government, I never watched myself once on TV.
yeah.
So I don't know.
It's strange.
It is so for
Yeah.
me. I never was able to watch myself, but now being on the outside and watching the meetings, I actually listen to them a lot. When I'm not doing something, I'll be able to listen to them. I think you hear a lot more of what's going on, especially chatter in the background and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I'm still learning. I mean, it's talking in public's, for me it's been hard, but I'm getting better at it. As far as that was the sign, the Irving sign was the first thing to vote, to
yeah,
look at and vote, and we did the site walk, and when we went out and did the site walk, I didn't even realize that they had an internally lit sign at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But they went in and turned it on, and it did light up. And the poles right there beside the road, I mean, those guys, I've seen them. I actually did work at Irving when Tom owned it. I did work probably 6 months, maybe a little longer down there. So I knew how the operation worked, and we always, they were always drawing straws who would be the one to go out with the pole and change the prices. And back then we didn't have all these day-by-day price changes. So now, I mean,
Yeah.
they're really out there way
and
too
in
much.
the winter too. Like even last week, the town, will stockpile snow there. We got to keep
Exactly.
snow moved around, and
Yep.
that's it's just one of those things where, you have a snow pile, you got icy roads, you got that hill coming down as the applicant kind of defined. It just
Yeah.
It makes sense too. I assume that I get the argument was brought up at one point that 7-Eleven has something similar. I think the pricing is like the colors are white or something like that on the LEDs or something like that. But
Yeah, I don't know how
Yeah.
that is, but to compare one thing to another, I mean, to someone else in town that got approvals and did something, I think it's sort of hard to bring that up as an argument for your side if if you don't meet the criteria.
Sure.
And from everything I read, I'm really green at this, but reading the application and going in and everything, through everything, when we did the site walk and then when we got back to the town hall, things started to click when I thought about it. And that's when I came up with, my theory that they were grandfathered, and why not go with a nice externally lit to code and the red lights on the bottom, and they were going to be 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. lit on the LED. So I think that's responsible. Plus, more than half of the year it's going to be daylight lit.
Absolutely. And
Right. So
a business that only open
Exactly.
6 a.m., 8 a.m.
Yep.
to 6 p.m.
I mean, obviously, if they came and said we want to have it on all night long, I mean that might have changed dynamics actually.
Yeah. But yeah, they're a downtown business that
Yep.
maintains those same hours that everybody else does.
Yep.
So we got a few more clips. We'll play clips 2 and 3, and then we'll give a little commentary, and then we'll play the final clip.
So here's my thinking, and it pains me to say this, but the lighting committee, we currently allow those LED lights. I hate them. I think they look just like neon. I think they're not in keeping with what we're trying to do in the town. But the reality is, we allow them. They are okay, the LED lights. So I would have to say, if he's doing I'm not voting on this one, but if he's doing the gooseneck lights, then the LED lights are okay, technically by law now.
In the open signs. I have to agree with Suzanne, because this sign, although it is approximately the same size as one of the permitted open signs that are in the window of a business, it's up in the air, and it has a much bigger impact than one of the open signs that are in the window of a business that's open. So I don't think that it is in the public interest to equate those two as being similar impacts.
So what do you think of the neon, not neon, but the LED open signs in general? Just your personal opinion,
Personal opinion, I think if they're used, properly, but during hours of operation, and I think, my personal opinion is I think just having it lit is fine, but I believe you can't have them flashing off and on. I could be wrong on that. I can't remember, but my personal preferences, I really think that everybody owns their own property and business and stuff, and they should, in theory, they should be able to do what they want, but that isn't how it works. So we have ordinances. Personally, I think there's too many ordinances, and we've gotten to this point because that's the way the world works with lawyers and lawsuits, and everything changes. The whole dynamic has changed on ordinances, since I'm almost going on 19 years in town, and I've seen a lot of, the ordinance book was, 20 years ago was a little paperback thing, and now it's this big. So
and you have ordinance on the top of ordinances.
Exactly.
Ordinance
for an ordinance. And
then the interpretation of the ordinance, because you
exactly.
could, even though, a lot of there's people out there that will say that zoning is very strict and it's, in how you approach it, because there's ordinances that define everything, and if you follow the ordinances, then it's very easy. Well, that's all good to be said, but there's the interpretation too, and every single person up there interprets things different in their own way, and that's why when at the end of each case you go through the criteria, which hopefully pulls you back to not only what the ordinances are, but also some common sense. Like, you went down to the site, you walked it, you saw it, they had a sign that was already lit, and what you said made complete sense. It was it was already here, it was already there, it was grandfathered, and that's just how the view of it was.
Yeah, and I can understand other people. The ordinances. Let's face it, we don't want a Las Vegas. driving through town.
No, I do
So,
not.
When you drive through, you know, you go out and drive through some of these other towns, again, they own the business, it's their property and stuff, but when I have to squint, when I'm driving at night and I have to squint going by some of these signs in other towns,
Sure.
I think that's,
Yeah.
we don't want to see that in Wolfeboro. I don't think that would be, proper. I want them to have a sign. I want them to have,
Yeah.
so let's find some common ground, and I think it was just common ground on Irving's sign.
Yeah.
And it was, I can understand.
Let's go to the final clip here.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions that the large sign is downlit and the only illumination is the numbers in red.
From 6 till 6.
Yeah,
I
6
can't-
and
And
6,
8
I wanted
till
to say
5.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second for Sarah's motion?
Second.
So are you in favor of Sarah's motion?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No,
Yes.
that passes. You're approved. A 30-day appeal period before you pay for the sign.
Yeah. Audrey, Tavis, when they put in the 6 to 6, that's weekdays. It was a different time for Saturday and
8
Sunday.
to 5 weekends.
I was just wondering about findings.
Financing?
Findings? Findings of
Findings.
fact? Since you already voted, it's a little late, but might as well do it.
Do you guys want to do findings, or do you want me to do those later?
Okay.
Findings of fact? Do you want to do them now, or do you want me to do them later?
Let the prevailing side do the findings.
So I found a few things interesting on this last part, okay? Because before they voted, to approve
Yeah.
the variance, and I was on for a long time, and I can't remember, maybe once in 9 years did they vote to not approve, and it failed. The original vote, Suzanne, brought up to say, let's not approve the sign. And then you guys, that got voted down, and then they eventually voted to approve it.
Yeah.
You voted to approve it. I found that interesting, just from viewing it from the public side of things. Like, Suzanne must have thought. I'm not going to ask you to comment on it, but Suzanne must have thought that she had the votes to get it to not pass.
Yeah.
And then it didn't, and then you guys then had to come back to, an affirmative vote, which I found that interesting, just for the viewers. And then, so it passed, and then I also other part that I found interesting that I wanted the viewers to see was Suzanne's response to then the findings of fact. She was a little sour. Seemed like that. Let the prevailing side do it. Let
Yeah.
them do the findings of fact. I find it interesting because you got to work as ultimately you're all working as a group based on your individual your beliefs and how you interpret the ordinance. So I just I found that last clip interesting, and I think it's good the viewers know that the sign, there's a 30-day appeal window, but ultimately we'll probably be seeing a new sign down there in the near
Yeah,
future.
I would think so. I mean,
Yeah.
it's cut and dry.
Yeah, so overall, it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was a good experience. I respect a lot of all my other board members.
Sure.
I don't know them, but as I build a relationship, that's what I want to do, is build a relationship with these other board members and come to do the right thing.
Sure.
And go by those criteria. And it's really tough sometimes. I mean, I can see what's going to, I know there's going to be cases and stuff coming along that are really going to be tough. They're
Yeah.
going to be,
Yeah, as long as, it's like anything else, it's a small town, and
Yeah.
you've always said it in meetings, it's a small town, so if
Yeah.
you're not working with somebody in one place,
Yeah.
you're going to be working them with something else.
yeah, I want to just try to, obviously, I'm not going to get along with everybody in town, and I mean, that's the way society is set up. You got
Yeah.
everybody, we're all living in the same town. We're all,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
I
getting at?
thought you
and it's
asked
like,
I watched you went to public input too at the most recent selectmen's meeting, which was postponed a week because of the storm.
oh, yes.
But you asked a good question, and
Yeah.
it was, It was the Pop Whalen financials. Where are we at with this
Exactly.
enterprise?
I'm just-
You know, we're 7 months into owning this new thing, and you know, where are we with the revenue?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know
Well,
it's going to take time to build this new thing up, but where are we?
100%, and it's, you know, I was never against that Pop Whalen project. I thought it just, everybody started it with good intentions, and somehow it got away from us or everybody, or it just snowballed and got away, and you know, obviously we'll see how this plays out. It's definitely not over. It's just, I would like to just see it over, but it seems like it's a gift that keeps on giving, and then we just want to get through at the end of the day. It's a very important place for everybody in the community, and I just want to get, I'd like to have it be right and fair, and
Yeah, absolutely.
that's all. That's
Yeah.
all I'm about is truth and transparency and fairness, and maybe I'm a dreamer on that, but
No,
you know,
no,
you just
it's tough.
You have to have. Let's get back to having a town. Everybody lives together. Not everybody has to like each other, but we all have to. Everybody should have to play by the same rules and ordinances in the planning department. And you know, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipe here that just locally that, you know, some things were not done kosher, and things were permits, you know, just things were, you know, I'm not going to get into it because
Sure.
I really don't know it all, but
Yeah.
I'd like to see get back to a, you know, get away from the favoritism and the you know, the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, you might never ever get rid of that, but man, I'd like to, I don't think it would be that hard to get this town in a better place than it is right now with decisions and stuff that goes on. So
Well, you're
we
on the
can all live
inside now,
together.
so
Yeah.
now I come knocking on your door when I have questions.
Yeah.
Which is good though. It's, you know, that's the transition of power too. You know, everyone needs to step up in town government. You know, we
Yeah.
had there were some people that, you know, stepped up this week at the Selectmen's meeting and, you know, joined committees. You know, there's a whole array of committees here in Wolfeboro, both town committees and you know,
Committees
private.
for committees.
So there's
No.
private committees too that do
Yeah.
a lot of trails committees and stuff like that, do a lot of great work and provide a lot of resources here in Wolfeboro. So Jody, thank you for coming in.
All right.
Appreciate it. Is there anything
Thank
else
you.
you want to talk about?
Not really.
We got a busy week this week, and just let people know, starting today in Wolfeboro, the Wolfeboro Chamber of Commerce is hosting its restaurant week here in Wolfeboro, and you'll find that many of the restaurants here in town will have, over the next week, starting today, will have special menus both for lunch and for dinner. And I went to the Chamber website, and some of the area restaurants that are included in this are Morrissey's, Nolan's, the Wolf Trap, Trenta, which is up on Middleton Road, Wolf's Tavern, O Bistro, Butternuts, the Bay Diner, Localtopia, the Wicked Loon, Harmony Coffee, Garwood's, and Marker 21. For more information on the menus for those particular restaurants and what they're offering, because they're offering special plated lunch and dinner menus for really all different kinds of food for really good prices for that entire restaurant week. Go to the Chamber website to see the menus for the various restaurants and on each day what they're offering. And you know, thank you for joining us. You know, my goal with these shows is to really give people a better understanding of how town government works and who the people are. You know, that want to work for the town, that are elected officials of the town, that are department heads of the town, and you know, I think working together and talking about things more will give the general public a better idea of who not only who the players are, but more of an idea of and more of a vested interest in Wolfeboro. And that's what we all can hope is, you know, make Wolfeboro that great place that we all care about so much, why we choose to live here, why some of us choose to have businesses here, and you know, why so many choose to ultimately visit it. And that's
Yeah,
what
and
I
I'd like to just add, just get out there, get to your meetings. I know some of them can seem to be really boring, but we're not going to get it. We're not going to have any changes Like I used to just sit at the shop with the guys and complain about everything for years. Hopefully you just can get up and just go to a meeting, just sit there, just sit there and watch and listen and become part of your town's government, because we can all work together to make things better. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you again, and be kind to each other out there. Thank you.